Hello everyone, today's video I'm going to be talking about X from 2022. That came out 2 years ago already. I wanted to see and review this movie when it came out, but COVID was still an issue at the time. Going to the movie was still not much of an option, despite the only movie I saw around that time was the new Batman movie with Robert Pattinson. Sometime later this year, Maxxxine, the third movie, the X series, will be out later this year. I will be reviewing both X and Pearl before Maxxxine. I thought this was originally supposed to come out last year, but my guess is the writer's strike probably had something to do with that, even though they finished filming before the strike happened. It was directed by Ty West, who I've heard of before as a filmmaker, but never saw any of his movies until I saw this one in Pearl. The plot to X, it takes place in 1979 about filmmakers and actors want to make a dirty porn movie be famous. They shot the movie at some secluded farmhouse in Texas, and they lie to the older couple that they were on vacation, and the elderly couple do not realize that they are making an adult dirty movie without a permit. After a hard day of filming, the elderly couple kill off the actors and the film crew one by one. My first viewing of X running on Prime after enjoying the movie, I got it at Target for like $15, right here on Blu-ray as you see. Well, it was not a great movie, but it was pretty good. The movie reminded me of Texas Chainsaw Massacre as a porno horror movie. Despite the praise X got, it seemed it got a mixed reaction. Some people enjoyed it, and others don't seem to enjoy it. My dad and some of my other friends didn't seem to care for it as much as they wanted to. Despite being considered one of the best slasher films in decades, I wouldn't say it was the best. It was one of the better okay slasher movies, and an upgrade, and a lot better than the previous last Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. After the 2013 prequel, sequel, whatever it was, they cannot make up their minds about, I gave up on the series and have not seen the last Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. It's a horror series and franchise that gave up on the modern-day filmmakers, and writers forgot about the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre represented it. When I was rewatching this movie for this video, I kept thinking to myself how I can do a comparison scene to this movie and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original. Here's an example. The characters driving the car in X, they don't pick up a crazy hitchhiker like in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The gas station scene difference is in X. The gas station attendant is not affiliated with the family killer like in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The gang passes a truck that accidentally ran over a cow. It makes me think of the conversation the characters had in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre with Franklin, how he explains his uncle owned a slaughterhouse. The farm they shot the porn movie, they're making the movie without a permit, and lie to Howard, they're on a vacation sightseeing. Little did Howard know that the guests were making a porn movie on his farmland without a permit. When Wayne knocks on the door, he enters uninvited, but does not get killed yet like the character in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, when Leatherface hits the guy in the head with a hammer. Unlike most slasher films, the final girl is the virgin in this movie. In this movie broke all the rules. Mia Goth's character smokes weed, has sex, goes skinny dipping, and snorts cocaine, and yet she's the final girl hero of this movie. Then again, this stereotype is not the first time done in a slasher movie. In my Funhouse movie review, I mentioned that the final girl does have nude scenes and has sex with her boyfriend, and yet she still survives. Despite all the bullshit, Scream rules of surviving a horror movie. Not every horror movie is always the same, and it's true what they say. The rules are meant to be broken. The movie opens up when we are first introduced to the character Maxxxine snorting cocaine before her and the film crew set out to film their porn movie. Is a reference to the movie Boogie Nights, another movie that pays tribute to the 70s, and also a little bit of Raging Bull right there too to some degree. The movie also has a good opening where the police investigate the crime scene, find dead decomposed corpses in the basement. We don't see anything, then it cuts to what happened 24 hours earlier in this movie before this event. I'm not gonna lie, this is the first thing I've ever seen Mia Goth in. I know she's been around for a while, but I've never been familiar with her movies. The only thing I knew about her is that she'd been married to Shia LaBeouf on and off. That's all I knew about her. I guess it's true what they say, love don't judge. Mia Goth must have been motivated by his, just do it! She does a good job in this movie. She plays a typical girl who came from a broken down dysfunctional family. Her father was religious, but he abused her. After all the abuse, she wants to become a movie star. It's not explained, but you get that hint and sense from it. The part when she goes skinny dipping in the lake and the alligator almost eats her made me think of Jaws, but instead Maxxxine survives, and Christy Watkins in Jaws got eaten by a shark. Maxxxine was almost lunch. One thing I agree with people and YouTubers that the sex scene between Pearl and her husband Howard were a little bit weird and gross. Not that her husband didn't want to have sex with her, he was concerned or afraid like what if his heart condition got bad while they had sex. How her worries if he could die if he had sex with Pearl. Seeing them have sex makes you think of a conversation the gang had earlier about how that you're not going to be young and beautiful forever, and that one day you will lose your sex drives. That's a sad and true story on life when you think about it. I also did not realize, and it surprised me, that Mia Goth played both Pearl the Old Lady and Maxxxine. Boy, they had me fooled, they had me convinced. As I was watching this movie, I kept asking myself, who is this old lady actress playing Pearl? The makeup on the old lady Pearl is great. I also got this sense and hint that Pearl could be bisexual and saw Maxxxine as a spitting image of herself, of how she reminded her of her past, while we see the next movie, Pearl, that explains everything. The other hint I was sensing was, could this be her great-grandmother, or I could be wrong on this one. It had themes on old age and regrets in life as we get older. The movie had themes on old age and regrets in life as we get older. Seeing how Pearl lives in the past, never got to live up to her full potential in life. Like a lot of women in Pearl's generation, she got married very young. We see how Pearl's not happy and not satisfied how her life turned out to be. Pearl never lived her dreams of becoming a movie star like she planned out to be. I can relate that on a different personal level, despite I'm not 80 years old yet, but I fear that every day of my life, one day being an older man waking up with regrets, wishing I did this and that with my life. She lives with jealousy of all the victims Pearl kills. When Pearl dances after killing RJ, it's like she's feeling happy and alive and young all over again. She sees Maxxxine as a spitting image of herself, but a little bit dirtier. Pearl spies on Maxxxine like a peeping Tom in a creepy way. When Maxxxine goes inside the house uninvited, she offers her lemonade, and they talk. It's a little bit weird and awkward and disturbing. Pearl analyzes Maxxxine. Pearl sees Maxxxine as filthy disgusting, thinking that she will make it as an actress with the dirty movie she's making. X takes place in the 1970s, paying tribute to 70s grindhouse, low-budget horror movies. Also on the dangers and horrors of making a porn movie. While it's not great like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it still has that 1970s vibe to it. I like movies like that that give you the feeling of being transported back in a different time period in history. This thing I'm about to talk about, I did not know whether to laugh at this or feel uncomfortable. When the crew is done filming for the day, they sit down, relax, listen to music, eat sandwiches, have drinks. Lorraine is analyzing and thinking it's strange watching them have sex on film in front of their boyfriend and girlfriends. Wayne says as long as the cameras run, it's only pretending. Lorraine asks, what about love? And Maxxxine says, of course we believe in love. You can decide who you want to love, but not who you want to screw. Bobby Lynn Parker says everybody likes sex, and that one day we're going to get old, and we won't be able to have sex anymore. Very true. We all grow old and die. Wayne predicts the future of home video, which came a decade later at that time. People can watch porn in the safety and the privacy of their own home, what they desire. Bobby Lynn proposes a toast to the perverts. They've been paying our bills for years. If you don't believe me on this scene, go watch this movie and be surprised. Ladies and gentlemen, these are your main characters of the movie. These weird sex maniacs. They were like R-rated characters of a Scooby-Doo knockoff. Besides Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes, there was some Halloween reference. They played the song Don't Fear the Reaper. The part when RJ, played by Owen Campbell, was mad and upset his girlfriend, played by Jenna Ortega, who plays Wednesday Addams in the new Addams Family Netflix TV show, wanted to be a part of the movie, and it was a last-minute decision. Her character was a boom operator throughout the entire filming process. I was a boom operator in 2 indie films, and I joked with my dad when we were watching this movie, we did not film scenes like this. It's a little funny how she compares her boyfriend's RJ porn film to Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, of changing things up, but I agree with RJ, Psycho was different than a porn movie. That was MacGuffin creating suspense and shocking the audience. RJ was not thrilled about his girlfriend being in the movie, that's why he tries to leave, but then Pearl kills RJ. Jenna Ortega's character was an example of a character who was shy, low self-esteem, and she sees and analyzes the porn movie. She wants to exploit herself. Her boyfriend RJ does not see her that way. He sees her as an innocent girl. Maxxxine thought that she was weird and creepy and was annoyed at her for staring at her. Jenna Ortega does a good southern accent. She wanted to be in the porn movie besides being the boom operator. She says to her boyfriend, no one's coming to see this for the story. They're coming to see tits and ass and a big dick. Me and my friend Christian joke, she can be in our movie, we had a chance to work in Hollywood, why not? The camera shot when she's about to film her scene in the porn movie. She takes off her cross necklace. That symbolizes that she's not innocent anymore. The part when her character gets locked up in the basement, it's really gross and fucked up when she finds a bunch of naked corpses. Also really disturbing. 2022 was a big breakout year for Jenna Ortega. She was in the new Scream movie that time, this movie, and as mentioned before, she plays Wednesday Addams on the Netflix series. Jenna Ortega and Mia Goth have been considered by horror fans the new modern-day scream queens of the 2020s. Brittany Snow's character, I feel like they were going for like the Marilyn Monroe look type personality. I've seen her in horror movies in the past, and I had no idea it's been a decade since she's done a horror movie. I don't dislike her as an actress. She's an actress I've not kept up with or paid much attention to as an actress. She's okay in this movie. I thought it was fun when she's like ready to shoot a scene. She goes, "Finally, I'm fucking horny." Jackson's whole character was attributed to Blaxploitation movies. His character was a Vietnam veteran and did tours in South Vietnam. He and Howard had something in common. They were both soldiers. Howard served in World War I and World War II. His bushy hairstyle kind of reminded me of Shaft. Despite they were making a porn movie, it's crazy to say these characters really wanted to make an art film where they wanted to break out into Hollywood. I read a lot about famous actors and actors before they were famous, made porn movies before they made as big shots like Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Marilyn Monroe, Cameron Diaz, Channing Tatum, and Jackie Chan, believe it or not, etc., etc., the list goes on and on. The finale was crazy, but done so well how Howard and Pearl kill each person one by one. I read on IMDb.com, if you pay close attention, the movie foreshadows everyone's death scene. Howard has a heart attack and dies. Maxxxine runs over Pearl's head. Before Maxxxine kills Pearl, look at the way Maxxxine puts her finger by her mouth. Keep this in mind for the next video on Pearl. The movie ends back in the crime scene where the police officers find film camera footage thinking the killers filmed themselves killing their victims, but little did they know it was a porn movie. While this movie was not great or perfect, not the greatest slasher horror film, but for me most of the part I enjoyed and appreciated for what it was. That was my video on X. Stay tuned for Pearl, my next video, Pearl, a prequel to X.